Members of the independent commission investigating the October mass shootings met back in Lewiston this morning to hear testimony from Maine law enforcement officials. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Brian Yacono. News Center Maine's Caroline LaCour joining us from City Hall tonight to share what was discussed today. Caroline.
Brian and Amanda, today commission members learned a little bit more on what occurred in the hours following October's tragedy at a time when so many Mainers were looking towards law enforcement for answers.
I think it's very unique.
Speaking to commission members Friday, leaders from Maine State Police shared their insights into what went on behind the scenes following the night of October 25th.
I think the response times and the people that went into harm's way and into those two buildings, they won't forget what they saw. So I'm very proud of those people.
Starting with testimony from Colonel William Ross, explaining how police communicated with the public and with other local and federal law enforcement agencies that were called in to help.
But it was just a flurry of activity.
Hundreds of calls to local police departments with more than 800 tips from the public made it a challenge to decide which leads to follow first.
An active criminal investigation and an active manhunt happening at the same time can be very challenging.
Sergeant Greg Roy is in charge of the Maine State Police tactical team. He says there were multiple locations where Robert Card could have been, with Maine Recycling being just one of them.
It's essential for self-deployment and self-dispatching, and the reason is we don't have time to go through the approval process to get resources.
While self-deployment caused some issues in the early stages of the response, Sergeant Roy defended the decision, noting that many officers were operating off of the incident command model commonly taught in training. He says a strict policy could have complicated things further.
Policies tend to have black and white language and perception, and we certainly wouldn't want to discourage that self-deployment of resources.
Other bumps in the road, like leaks from private law enforcement briefings, were also shared, something that police say complicated the initial investigation.
That you see it where it kind of falls apart, and ordinarily it wouldn't because they didn't have that information. So discouraging at the time, but we worked past it.
Those testifying acknowledged that while there will always be room for improvement and several changes are being implemented to address pitfalls,
this was a massive undertaking, and I think that the Maine law enforcement community can be proud of the work that they did.
Now, this was the second time Maine State law enforcement leaders testified in front of the commission. Live in Lewiston, Caroline LaCour, News Center, Maine.
Caroline, our thanks to you tonight.